Good evening, Steve Lentini, and I'm your host for Different Thinking for Different Times. Tonight I'll start with the key to happiness is not to be identified with that which is impermanent. George Ivanovich Gurdjieff. This is Season 1, Episode 2. So the key to happiness is not to be identified with that which is impermanent, meaning everything we currently identify ourselves with, and especially in Western society, material things, job titles, number of homes, wealth, clothing, cars, watches, rings, jewelry, fake breasts, the body image itself, the perfect body, the six-pack abs. All of this stuff is gone in a flash. Some people are in the midst of a workout and pass away. They leave from this existence and transcend into what's next. They transition from this to that. If you've listened to previous podcasts, then you know that's my story. I was here 1 second, gone the next. So I learned that the value of all the things I thought had value that defined me, the work I did, the books I'd written, the clients I had, the leaving from working for others to working for myself quite successfully, none of that meant anything because none of it's mentioned on the other side. There's no kudos for what you've achieved here or what you've gathered here. But what was interesting is that what was mentioned was the good I had done, the lives I had touched. Fascinating how we give that very little value while we're here, while we're alive. We do good things and we know how we feel when we do good, but it's not the emphasis of what we do. The emphasis of what we do is showing everyone else, adding layers of what we think have value, adding layers of the impermanent. And all of us come to that day where there's a shock, a tragedy, a death of a loved one, a child, a mother, a father, a neighbor, a friend, an accident that leaves one incapacitated to some degree. How about the limbs blown off by service people in the Middle East or wherever they are in the world, in Afghanistan? Any of the world wars, people see how impermanent all of this existence is and how inane it is to be working to achieve. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but we're not to define ourselves by that which is impermanent because that's where happiness eludes us. Is to let go and let God. There is something beyond this existence. That transition that I had helped me transcend. I transitioned into something very transcendent. I came back to this existence with a new understanding of truly what's important. And what's important is helping others and to overcome our small-minded acorn brain, what I call the little fucker thinking. The little fucker thinking that has our own Congress frozen, pointing fingers at each other, which is all a waste of time. It's partisan games, and certainly all that stuff is impermanent. I certainly think it's time for term limits, but that's my view. And to have some fun with Congress it would be fun to see the people rise up and change Congress completely because we have an elitist group of career politicians on both sides. I'm not a fan of one or the other. I'm an independent. It'd be fun to just eliminate the 30-year, 40-year, 20-year, all the 25-year, 35-year, all the multiple-year Congress people and bring in a fresh new crop of people. And what I think is 1 8-year term and eliminate the need for re-elections, and you stagger the term so that every 2 years there's an election, and over 4 years, the whole Congress is turned over. Just one term like the president. And either House or Senate, 1 8-year term. But anyway, that's to change things would be to get over small-minded acorn brain thinking that says we have to have people that are careers, elitists, and telling the rest of the population what to do or that we can't live without them. But that's just one example of acorn brain thinking. I mean, just think about where people have acorn brain thinking. In religion, there was no religion on the other side. So one religion pointing the finger at the other or having the audacity to think one is better than the other when there's only one God that made 7 billion people at the beginning of time. That's what this has evolved into, grown into, which is all part of the divine plan. And people would say, what is the plan? Well, the plan is the expansion of life. That's the natural expression of life. You can look all around nature. Nature left unchecked by itself would just continue to grow and grow and grow. And then there'd be a forest fire or something to come and change that, and it would grow again. That's what nature would do. If you go to the jungles or you go to the forests, that's what happens naturally. There's a forest fire, and then there's regrowth, and it grows until it's crowded out. And it all does so without man managing everything. We give ourselves more credit for being able to manage Mother Earth and really what's possible. Again, that's all part of small-minded thinking. And so the acorn brain tells us that we have a nationality that's better, or a skin color that's better, or a sex that's better. There's no male, no female on the other side. The divine is all one. And in this world, our job, and this is what I help people do today, is to transcend that small-brained, limited thinking. People who think there's not enough of something, or that the world is going to end in 12 years. That's small-minded thinking. Anything that's small-minded is not from God. It's not where I was. It's not what I was one with. I was one with the limitless. We can achieve anything as a people. We can achieve anything we want individually. We have to escape. Our job is to escape that small-minded woe is me, why me, victim thinking, victim of circumstance thinking, and expand into the limitless, which is I can do anything. I can help you do anything. As a world, we can do anything we want. If we did truly want to eliminate our dependence on fossil fuels in 20, 30, or 40 years, we could probably do it. We also have to realize that the expansion of fossil fuels is here for a reason as well, that we thought we were running out, right? The limited acorn brain of man. When I was growing up, I waited in gas lines, and everyone said we'll be out of oil in 20 years. Of course, that didn't happen. So we get all kinds of examples and reminders that we live in a miracle, right? We live in a miracle. And God and the divine nudges us, right? So oil was supposed to be gone by the year 2000, and it's not. And now we as a country are independent, and there's more oil being discovered, and natural gas. And of course, natural gas is cleaner. And when you look at the carbon impact of the United States, we've improved almost 30%. And of course, China and India and some of the other offending companies are actually worse off. But together, we could help the world become cleaner by making that an emphasis, right? Asking other countries to do their best to take care of the world, right? So that our job is to leave everything and everyone a little better than we find them. And it's certainly our responsibility to take care of the earth. But anyone who starts speaking of the end doesn't get it. That we're going to end as a race. We're all going to end. One at a time. In fact, a bunch of us leave every day. And that we move from this into what's amazing. We move from this into the infinite. We're one with it, and it's just a knowing, right? We go back to pure consciousness, as Deepak Chopra used to say, and still says it. We come from pure consciousness, and we return to that which we come from, pure consciousness. And so it's to recognize that to be awake, as Gurdjieff talked about in all of his practices, To be awake, it just takes a renouncing of what's impermanent, and to celebrate what's truly what we're here for, which is to help each other, but not to help each other in a kumbaya way, right? Where one half of the population should work and the other shouldn't. No, but to find ways through negotiation and rising above any small-minded thinking, racism, sexism, ideas that other people should live as we live. Other people should believe as we believe. Any of that is small-minded, right? If you don't have any tolerance for your neighbor who's a Republican and you're a Democrat, or vice versa, or if you're on the right and someone's on the left and you don't have tolerance for them, that's small-minded thinking. And your job is to overcome your own small-minded thinking. Imagine if each person worked on themselves to the degree that we all overcame small-minded thinking. We would transcend from woe is me and why me and why are you doing this to me and look at them, how wrong they are, which if it sounds small-minded, it's not anything where the divine is. When I left my body and realized it's just a knowing that I was one with everything and nothing, there was not even a thought of this small-minded thinking. So when you pass from your body with all its prejudices and angers and things that you resent and people you disagree with and people you didn't forgive, and you immediately leave that behind because nothing from here was there. None of the small-minded, judgmental, acorn brain, little fucker thinking was there. So that's our job here, is to get over that, is to expand into the limitless. And why not you? That's the thing to remember. Why not? And human small-minded thinking, we're always worried about when it's all going to end. It doesn't have to. It doesn't have to end, meaning our good never has to end. But that's a choice in our mind, because most people don't believe. The pessimists, of course, don't believe. They're looking for when's it going to end and when is the next shoe going to drop and when will the proverbial cliff come, right? It doesn't have to end. We're going from this into something limitless, far more amazing than the acorn brain even can imagine. And when you think about anything that's been written over thousands and thousands of years, none of it matches where we go. All the stories are stories. Even in some of the very pious religious books, they're stories from people who had grudges and were angry and talked about a vengeful God. Those are human feelings and human thoughts. They were not the thoughts of where I went, of the divine. And it didn't matter what I called it. For me, back in my body, it's God. But while I was there, you're just with it. You just know you're one with everything and nothing. You're one with the infinite. It didn't matter if it was the Buddha, the Christ consciousness, the Muhammad, the Abraham, the Moses. It didn't matter. It wasn't Hindu, nor Muslim, nor Buddhist, nor Christian, nor Jewish. It was none of the above. Even my dog jumped up and agreed with me. Right, Albie? So it's our job to start to ponder the fact that you live in a miracle, and that what we live on an earth, we live on an earth, but we live in a miracle, in something we don't even have a clue yet, even with all the work that physicists are doing. We don't have a clue yet of what we live in and how beautiful and amazing it is. And you will when you die. You will when you pass away. But in the meantime, you can mirror that by doing good and cleaning up your own small-minded acorn brain thinking, and stop making others wrong. Stop making the left wrong or the right wrong or the Republicans wrong or the Democrats wrong or the Iranians wrong. Let them clean up their own small-minded thinking. Can we help with it? Absolutely. But I don't think it's a missile that helps with it. It doesn't hurt to set boundaries. It doesn't hurt as a society to put up with what we could say yes to. But again, it's an agreement, a negotiation where everyone comes to a point of understanding it's okay for you to think the way you think as long as you are okay with the way I think, and let's negotiate. Let's talk about how we come to a conclusion that's good for humankind. But first, if we can't get along with our neighbors, our friends, our family, our brothers, our sisters, if we have no way in our mind to overcome small-minded thinking, then we won't. On the roads of New York, there's lots of examples of people screaming at each other, beeping at each other, and all it means is you got to let somebody in, or you've got to let somebody by you, or you've got to move over a little bit, and people won't do it. We see all the examples of it, people holding on to their position because they believe they're right. After all, most of society does not question its thinking. So that's the job, to transcend from the woe is me and why me to the why not, that anything's possible, and to begin to lift your small-brained, acorn-brained, little fucker thinking into limitless thinking and understanding that's where the divine is, where the miracles are made. And there is no time. That's the other thing that was amazing to me, was there was no time. There was only the now, which was another clue that the now is never separate from the divine. Actually, it's the divine is never separate from the now. So for people that think that God has forgotten the world, that's them. That's their own disconnect, because they don't understand how miracles work and how in this world, we have to have opposites to know we're alive. Hot and cold, night and day, angry and happy, sad and happy. We have to have opposites. But where we're heading is amazing, and we can grab a glimpse of it if we can let go of defining ourselves with what's impermanent. Let it all go. Start to accept everyone for who they are, let them have their space, and have a discussion with them about it. If not, you don't have to have them surround you. People that don't think like you. Let them go. But also, it's good to have people that don't think like you so that you can learn just how small-minded your thinking is and work on yourself. Work on your response to people. Say, okay, I hear you. I understand it, but talk to me about it. Are you willing to hear the reasons that I feel the way I do? And anything that sounds like small-minded thinking, just keep reminding yourself that's our job to overcome. And I was here 1 second and gone the next. Talk about impermanence. We only have today. So do right by everyone. Do good, because you never know what the sunset might bring. And I hope that it's not tonight that you leave this world, and you might. Have you left everyone the way you want to leave them? Have you left everything the way you want to leave it? Work on that. Thanks a lot. Now, if you've had a near-death experience, you've been on the other side, you want to share that experience with me, that's fine. You want to challenge me, that's fine. You want to be on the show, I'll be glad to interview you, and we can have a dialogue back and forth, even if we totally disagree. In fact, I welcome it. Question Steve at stevelentini.com, Steve at stevelentini.com. Let's make a difference tomorrow. Thanks.